This is the Lions Main Podcast.
What's up, Lions fans? Welcome to Season 1, Episode 4 of the Lions Main Podcast. This week we talk through the preseason Week 1 matchup against the New York Giants. Before we begin, business as usual. George, how was your weekend?
Caine, my weekend was great. I had Jimmy over, my roommate from Central. We went to Detroit Cookie Company in Ferndale. So that's on Woodward. We got a ice cream cookie sandwich with like caramel and chocolate ice cream in between it because it was National Ice Cream Sandwich Day.
That sounds good.
It was fantastic, yeah. And Kaylee, Jordan's girlfriend, shout out to them. They work there, and they weren't there when we went, unfortunately. But she was there later in the day. She could have hooked it up with some free cookies, hopefully. But
Why, you trying to slide?
We missed her.
You trying to slide on the boy's girlfriend?
Cut that. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Anyways, it was also National Beer Day, so we had ourselves a good Friday. Perfect way to start off August.
Like a kid in a candy store. Beer and cookies? You were in heaven, I bet.
I was.
Did you kiss anybody?
I wouldn't tell you.
Damn.
That's the way to go. Don't kiss and tell.
You know I always want to know.
Yeah, you're weird. You're weird like that. Anyways, Drew, how you doing? How's your weekend?
The weekend was all right, man. I was was fighting off a mad hangover after Friday night. Just started the medical school back up, and there was a lot of commotion that happened over the weekend. Everyone's seeing each other again for the first time. But today we started our cardio block, which is really important to be trained on cardio. You know, with George and those clogged arteries after all that beer and cookies. You know, someone's gonna have to take care of them. But it's a grind. But I'm gonna try to bring the enthusiasm unknown to mankind, just like Jim Harbaugh.
That's a goat. That's a goat coach. So that's a good philosophy to have. To somebody who loves Coach Harbaugh, Jim, how you doing?
Yeah, as someone else who probably has Asperger's, just like Jim Harbaugh, I'm good. The weekend was good. My wife made more delicious meals. She's quite the cook. And then we went out and got seafood and ended up paying $175 because I wasn't paying attention. And but ate some good squid tentacles. Caine, I understand you've had a bad experience with the raw squid tentacles. Luckily, mine was cooked. It did feel like I was eating an alien, though. So, if you know Roger the Alien from American Dad, I pondered what he would taste like. So, yeah, good weekend.
Sounds like a typical weekend that you would have. So I'm happy for you and the wife.
Thank you. Yeah, that was great. Great stuff. We did kiss, in case you're wondering.
We got to keep the show PG. So
no, that's it. Just kissing.
Fair enough. So one of the main segments that we're bringing to the podcast, there's a lot of things out there that Lions fans don't know, but they should know. And so one of the guys that we brought on, one of our friends, he finally took the time to join us. Jacob, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Good. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for joining. And so for the next 5 weeks, we're going to ask you a series of questions, 5 separate questions, 5 each week, 25. You guys can do math. And the point of this is we're going to tally up how many you get right, how many you get wrong, and see what the end result is. Now, all of us are taking bets here. And so what do you guys think? Based on what you know about Jake, you think he's going to score above 60% of these questions or below? Come on, not all at once.
Give me the over. I got faith. Wait, do I get the 60? Do I get 60%? Do I get 3 or higher?
If it pushes exactly, I think we all have to do the punishment.
Yeah, I like that. We'll go ahead and do that. So we're going to come up with what the punishment exactly is. We don't have it at this time, but next episode, you guys should be expecting some crazy Cucamonga thing that our little George comes up with. So that'll be the punishment. George, who you riding with, man? What do you got, above or under?
Yeah, I'm going above. I think Jake knows more than we realize.
Okay. And since you guys did that, I'm going to go under because I'm going to make it even. And now I don't fuck with Jacob. So yeah, I'm with you, Jim.
Let me be clear. I think Buddy's going to score below 40%.
Come on, Jacob.
You guys are preying on my downfall.
I think he's going to get the equivalent of 3 times 3 wrong. He's going to say, I don't know, something like 8.
Jacob, you got anything to say to any of these comments that we said about you?
Well, I appreciate everybody who's rooting for me. I hope to prove everybody in the 60% or above group right, but I won't lie.
Hold
just
I'm an average fan.
After just hearing him talk, can I actually switch to the under?
You're not riding with our boy?
No, I got you. I got you, Jake.
So at what point does Jacob's fandom become less than average or more than average?
Well, he is the average fan, so I guess whatever his score is, That's the standard for the average fan.
A good way to put it.
You don't get more average than Jake, so let's ride.
I don't know. I don't know what makes me an average fan. I mean, I watch some of the game. I follow some of the news, but I'm not, not up to date like you guys.
You just described an average fan.
Players.
Exactly.
I play the fantasy football, but I'll be honest, I just roll the dice, pick whoever's got the best point. That's my level of research. I throw $60 at it and I say, all right, well, we'll see what happens this year. But statistically, if we're talking about fantasy, I do decent. I finished top 25%. So
You usually do. You usually do. So, I think you'll have pretty good odds here. I'm praying that you don't, but we'll think you have pretty good odds.
Wait,
are you ready?
What's the mark? We need him to what percentage?
I've only said it about 65 times. 60%.
I heard 60% of the time it works every time.
Hope he gets flat against the wall for that one.
All right, Jacob, are you ready for your first question?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
And mind you, some of these questions, it's just like, are you smarter than a fifth grader? Some of these questions will seem insanely easy, and some of these will be pretty hard. I mean, I don't think George can get these questions right. So let's go ahead and shoot it. All right. First question is, Jake, who is the current head coach of the Detroit Lions?
Thank God we started with a gimme. That's Dan Caine.
Dan the Man Campbell. Look at the grin on George's face. He's happy. All right. Question number 2. What year were the Detroit Lions established?
No idea.
Take your time, Jacob. It'll come to you.
1943.
Not too bad. 13 years off. It was 1930. One for two.
All right.
Hey, George, make sure you're tallying this up. All right, question number 3. What is the name of the Detroit Lions' home stadium?
Ford Field.
There we go.
Let's go, Jacob.
Built American tough, baby.
I like the right at the end. He said right. like you.
But actually, just renamed it.
Himself.
They renamed it.
Yeah, it's now Pornhub Stadium.
It's now Little Caesars Football Stadium. Okay, so 2 for 3. All right, moving on to number 4. In which city do the Detroit Lions play their home games?
What the hell?
Why did you give him that one?
I'm going to go with Detroit.
There we go, Jay.
Wow, wizard brain.
Hey,
Wizard brain over there.
Somebody, you never know. Somebody might say Pontiac. You never know.
Dude's got an arcane knowledge.
And then last but surely not least, who is the Lions' all-time leading rusher, running the ball rusher?
Come on, Jacob, think hard. You
Yeah,
know
I
the
know.
name.
Megatron?
You know the
Megatron. Throwing it out there. He's a receiver. He's the receiver.
no running, Jacob, running the ball.
Running back. Second Mulligans.
Please.
No,
You know, just
wait.
for the-
as someone who bet the under, I think not.
I'd
You
like
know,
to hear
just
it.
Guys, I don't know.
You got nothing.
I'd like to hear.
Oh, no.
Yes, you do. You know who it is. Do a mulligan.
Dude, it's too
All right,
late.
mulligan.
Come on.
yeah. All right, we're gonna have to go with a no on that one, Jacob. And you know what?
Oh.
As the question asker, next time I'll be a little bit more clear with my words. But no, you got that one fucking dead wrong. So
Jacob, what
All
were
right,
you going
it's
to
okay.
guess next? What were you going to guess next, just out of curiosity?
I'm drawing a blank.
Buddy didn't have a name.
I did not have a name.
let me ask you a question: who is the most famous running back in Detroit Lions history?
His name rhymes with Hilly Banders. Or no, sorry. I mixed up. I was thinking of two different people. Harry Banders. Sorry, Harry Banders.
It's Barry Sanders.
There you go.
Oh.
Jim was thinking of Billy Sims and Barry Sanders.
Yes, I
it.
was.
Dude. Oh my gosh.
Well, Jacob, I think you did a good job, and I hope you keep that effort up because it'll serve me well. So thank you for joining, and I appreciate you.
Cool. Oh, thanks for having me.
Thanks,
of course,
Papa.
man.
Yeah, nice job, Jacob. Better luck next time.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
And we already know.
So, hey, Jacob, don't be too hard on yourself. But the number one thing we want to talk about today is the thing that we've all been waiting for: Detroit Lions football. Well, this Thursday we got a game against the New York Giants. What are you guys looking at, George? What are you looking at?
What I'm most curious right now is we completely revamped our, well, not completely revamped, but we've revamped our offensive line. And so they're finally getting a chance to go against, a decent defensive line with the Giants. We got Thibodeau. It's just something different than, they've been going against like Aiden and the rest of the dogs, but
Yeah.
it's just a different look. And, one, I'd be curious to see, how our players did.
Yeah, for sure. And we have some young guys in that line, like some second and third stringers I'd like to see play. How much do you guys think that Penne and Ragnow, do you think that they even step on the field?
During the preseason game or?
Yeah, during this game or any of the games. I haven't seen Dan come out and say whether or not these guys are getting any play time. I don't think it's very beneficial for them to step on the field. If we do see them, it might be preseason game 3 on for the first drive just to get the pads on and get on the field. But I don't think it's going to be beneficial or expect to see them in either of these first 2 preseason games.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would expect none of the main core locked in starters just to play. You might get some of the guys who, even though they've had a great camp, haven't fully been locked in yet, like Levi, even some of the rookie, definitely some of the rookies. I'm sure Terrion Arnold won't play now that he got a concussion, but I would expect Rakestraw to play. I would expect all the other guys to play. I feel like the only people that aren't, the group that's not going to play is the starting offensive lineman. That's for sure. The startings, I'd be shocked if Amon-Ra plays or Gibbs and Montgomery or Goff play. I'd be shocked if any of them see more than 1 or 2 series the entire pre.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure last year it was their style to wait to the last preseason game to have the starters play, and I see no reason why you'd put someone out there. I think that this first game is going to be interesting to see who gets the wide receiver 3 snaps or who's getting the snaps from wide receiver, considering likely Amon-Ra won't play a majority of the game.
Do you have anybody you want to see out there in that 3 spot?
I want to see Antoine Green. I want to see, he was our 7th round pick, was it 2 years ago? And I think that he's, a big physical guy, especially if we're seeing, Amon-Ra line up in the slot more, or is he going to split time with Khalif Raymond? Really, whoever's, we've talked about this quite a bit on the pod already, but who's getting those Josh Reynolds snaps? So excited to see that.
Yeah. For me, I'm most excited. I don't know if you guys saw it. The Lions posted today. JMO had a big day, a couple touchdowns. I mean, I just want to continue to gather data points and proof points that, he's going to just be a stud this year. I think he is. I think someone on a more famous podcast, I can't remember, it was one of the NFL Network podcasts, noted that in the divisional round game, and the conference championship game, he had the second and first most targets he had the entire year, and touches as well. So they definitely, as the year went on, trusted him more. Seems like he's had a great offseason. I mean, if he can just step up and be a true number 2, I love Josh Reynolds. I loved him on the team, but I don't even really care who's out there at 3. You could throw Drew out there at 3. He's tall enough. Get his lanky bobbly ass out there. Waluigi, 2 Waluigis on the same team. But excited for him. Excited for the other. That I keep talking about Ennis Rakestraw, but I really was high on him pre-draft. Lions got him in the 2nd round. Terrion Arnold's obviously going to be an awesome player, but I think he's not going to play a lot the next week or so. So glad that Ennis Rakestraw is getting some time out there with the ones. Just really fired up about the season. I feel like there's so many guys that you could say, this is like the first time in years, maybe last season, where you could say, going into the season, I'm excited about 10, 15 plus guys. I remember a couple years ago, I was like, okay, maybe Aiden Hutchinson and Penei Sewell are the guys, or Penei Sewell's class. It was literally just Penei Sewell and Jared Goff I was curious about. Everyone else stunk to high hells. Just happy that there's so many options to pick from, so many storylines.
I would say the biggest thing is you hit on Rakestraw. I was extremely excited to watch the Malik Neighbors versus Terrion Arnold matchup, but with him being out potentially for the next week or 2, I think that falls on Rakestraw. So I can't wait to see him go against, some would say the best receiver in college football last year. Some would say I won it, but see him go against, that talent out there.
I don't know that Missouri and LSU played last year. I'd be curious if they did play, how they matched up. They did play. I know that Mizzou actually had a pretty solid secondary between Rakestraw and I think Chris Abrams. I forget his full name, but Chris Abrams Dane. Yeah. I honestly, I'd like to go back and watch that just to see, because I think that'd be a good preview of what you're saying, Caine.
It might have been, but LSU put up 533 total yards of offense and put up 50 points on Missouri. So,
well, to be fair,
best showing.
Rushed for almost 280 yards.
True.
But Neighbors did have 6 catches for 146 yards and a touchdown, so who knows?
I was just going to go back to the, George was babbling there at the start when we first started talking about this game, talking about the O-line, but as we all said, we might not be able to see this in the actual preseason game all week. If Giants and linesmen holding joint practices, and I think that O-line versus D-line matchup has been super exciting. Giants got Brian Burns in the offseason. They already had Kayvon Thibodeau and Dexter Lawrence. And seeing them go after our O-line, this is like, I don't know if you guys saw the clip, but Kayvon Thibodeau went up against Taylor Decker, and Taylor Decker absolutely just manhandled him. And that was a clip that we saw that was circulated on Twitter. And I think, you can't be sitting there as a Giants fan not thinking, not wishing that they had Aiden Hutchinson, because it was some talk, there was, if you remember in the 2022 draft, there was a 3 DNs and 3 teams that were kind of vying, and it was kind of a toss up right until, draft day, who's going to land where. And that was where Trayvon Walker, the Jags, idiotically took Trayvon Walker number 1, but that's what landed us Aiden, and Kayvon ended up going 5th overall to the Giants. And Kayvon's been good, but nowhere near as good as Hutch. But yeah, they've got a good D-line. Brian Burns was a stud last year for Carolina, and it's, I think, a really smart and good test to have them in this joint practice.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like seeing that challenge out there, especially early on.
Similar to what Drew was saying earlier, when I was mentioning the O-line, I wasn't talking about the game. I was starting with the practices because I think those are more interesting to me right now. I mean, it'll be cool once the game comes along because we'll get to see players that we wouldn't normally see play. But these practices are particularly interesting because these are our starters going against their starters. For example, like I know the Giants have some rookie DBs, and they're going against a pretty experienced wide receiver core that we have. I'm pretty sure, didn't they draft Drew Phillips and Tyler Nubin? I believe that's a corner and a safety.
Yeah.
So they got some fresh guys. They're in like somewhat of a similar situation as us. And like Drew was saying with Thibodeau, they got some guys that, they're looking in hindsight and like could have had this, should have had that. But it's kind of cool to see the starters throughout the week. And I believe they said I was reading, one of the beat writers said it's been the most aggressive practice that they've had, that he's ever seen. Rather, was today. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing. It seems like it is, but
10 separate fights.
Right,
10 separate fights? Are you serious?
10 separate fights. And
wow.
I think it was both sides of the ball is what I was reading. It wasn't like because the practices, sorry to cut you off, George, the practices were split first team offense against first team defense for both teams. So there was the first team offense of the Lions going up against the Giants first team D and vice versa. And there was fights on both fields. I saw a little bit of a couple of them. One looked like Panay was ragdolling some people. Another one, just some chippiness between the Lions wide receivers and the Giants DBs. I always feel like that's wide receivers and DBs, I just feel like they always hate each other. It's like O-linemen and linemen. If they're not fighting in the preseason, I would be worried that they don't give a shit. But 10 is a lot. 10 is a lot.
Was Goff out there throwing hands or what?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, actually, Goff karate chopped Daboll in the neck. Daboll's down on the field, carted off by an ambulance. Bad situation.
Daniel Jones did get involved, I was reading. So he's being applauded for that and criticized.
No, he shouldn't have better.
I mean, I think this is the first little taste, since all these contracts got handed out. I'm sure that, Amon-Ra, especially because he's got podcasts, his name's in the paper, as they say. Him getting this massive, this contract, he's gonna have a target on his back, and we already saw that. There was a clip going viral where he got into it with I don't know which Giants DB, but after the play,
Drew Phillips.
It was who was it, Jim?
Drew Phillips,
rookie.
Great name, but yeah,
spelled differently. Speaking of Daniel Jones and being horrible and throwing what looked like quite a few picks at these practices, would you rather have Daniel Jones with his contract as your backup quarterback or Hendon Hooker?
For one season, Daniel Jones, no doubt.
Really, you want to pay him $40 million for a season?
If you have the space, I think there's zero doubt. Now, because even is he bad? Yes. Could he randomly win you 2 or 3 games with his long ass neck? Yes.
But I would take Daniel Jones as a backup in a heartbeat.
But for $40 million.
Oh, yeah,
for $40 million. $40 million.
For $40 million.
Long term, definitely not. Definitely not. But for one season, if you have the space, I mean, that's ridiculous use of capital. But let's say it was before they gave Goff the extension and Daniel Jones is making like $15 million more a year.
Yeah, right. That's exactly my point.
Here's the issue.
Like-
He doesn't fit the culture. He doesn't
Did I
fit
have
the
my
Dan
eyes
Campbell
closed or
culture.
something when he got that big contract? I mean, that seemed like it came out of nowhere for me. I was like, Daniel Jones is getting that contract, and then he had it, and then he hasn't been awesome since then. So
What's crazy
I'll
is
take Hendon Hooker.
that's what they were
take
talking.
Hendon
I mean,
Hooker.
that was the narrative around Jared Goff. A year and a half ago, 2 years ago, was it was the same time Daniel Jones got that contract that people were asking if Goff was going to be worth it. Obviously, it's a tale of two different cities in the outcome, 2 different seasons. But
I bet if you look at Jared Goff's worst season, it's still close to Daniel Jones' best season. I don't know off the top of my head, but I would just have to guess. I also think he's bad, but like he's also behind last year one of the worst offensive lines in football, and his receivers were like the Three Stooges, Curly, Moe, and Larry. Don't forget, what's that tight end's name? Darren Waller, who was too busy making a music video about cheating on his wife to actually play football. So I think Daniel Jones is bad, but he's just normal bad. And I don't think Jared Goff's, even when he was at his lowest, was ever the type of guy that, Daniel Jones' contract, George, is just such an albatross. Like 4 years, $40 million per year.
what, are we golfing
yeah,
now?
well, check your privilege at the door first, Jim. When you speak about Darren Waller, he's recovering right now. So
Oh, yeah.
I don't like the way
He's been
he
recovering
spoke so
for-
quick.
How
been
long does he
recovering
need
for
to
the last
recover
8 years.
for?
He's still recovering from how much cringe that video was. That's not even, that doesn't even make sense, but that's how much I can't think when I watch that video.
So Ohio.
But speaking of cringe, so this NFL Top 100 list. Drew corrected me about 16 times earlier. Aaron Rodgers played not 2, but 4 snaps, or 4th play. I don't know how many snaps, whatever. Somewhere between the range of 2 and 5. Drew's going to have to correct me again. And he was listed within the top, voted by players within the top 100. Is that just my hatred speaking, or does he deserve a spot in that top 100?
What was he? What
Yeah.
what was his exact rank again?
What was it, 82, George?
92.
92.
I wouldn't take weak ankles. No way. No chance. Kirk Cousins on that list too. Are you out of your fucking minds?
How can you be voted within the top 100 of that season and you don't even play an entire drive? Not one drive.
It's a good question. I think it's the top. I think the list is technically the top 100 players in the NFL, but it's a fair point because Jalen Johnson, who I do not like the Bears. Obviously, none of us like the Bears. But he's just objectively a very good cornerback. Was not even on the list, which is insane.
And then meat riding over there.
I mean, come on, let's get real here. He's a good player, and it goes to your argument. Why the hell is Aaron Rodgers on there? Who?
More importantly, wait. More importantly, the number 1 ranked center in all of 2023 was not on the list.
Creed Humphrey?
Frank Ragnow, motherfucker.
Frank Ragnow wasn't on the list?
He's not on the
He's
list.
not on the list.
Oh my hell!
He's
He's
not
not
on the list.
He's
That's
literally
the
the
most
highest ranked
surprising
center
one.
on Madden. That's just ass. I mean, this is the players making this. And by the way, I have a bone to pick with the players. And Caine, you're right. And I think this goes with the Aaron Rodgers point. These guys, they're obviously know way more about the actual game than I ever will.
They're overpaid.
Well, I wouldn't. I'm not saying all that. I'm not saying all that. I'm not going on an uncle slash guy down at the VFW
Jim's
hall.
about to say, shut up and dribble.
Look, have I been to a VFW hall before? I have. Does that mean I'm going to say all this? No. But the players, honestly, I think Caine said it earlier in a group chat. They're picking their buddies and the players they watch play before them, and that's who they're picking. They might pick the occasional player that they play against a couple times a year or their teammate, but some of the rankings were just obscene. And it's hard to say, oh, it's stupid because it is the players, and people say, well, they know better than you. Well, no shit, they know how to block and catch better than me, and they know the schematics better than me. But you're really telling me Frank Ragnow is worse than Kirk Cousins as a football player? That's just crazy.
I see that Sam Laporta is the lowest ranked line on top 100. He's at 80. How do we feel? Do we think that's fair? Only tight end above him, I believe, is Travis Kelce.
Wow.
No Kittle?
George
at
Kittle
14
isn't on
as
there?
well.
Kittle's up there as well.
Yep.
Mark Andrews?
There is Mark Andrews. No.
No hate crime Higbee?
No.
No, so I think that's, I mean, it's hard to judge because as a Lions fan, objectively, I think he's I think he's the 3rd best tight end in the league. And I don't think there's an 80 to 14. This is again where I think Caine's point of like players think of the guys that they watched playing when they were, 4 or 5 years ago. Like Kittle is awesome. And, I'm not going to say that Laporta is better yet because Kittle still is a beast in many facets of the game. But he is not 66 spots better than Laporta. Like, it's not like that much of a gulf between them. And I think a lot of that is because of, that people wait to give rookies their shine. People want, Kittle, someone might not have played Kittle in 4 years, be like, oh, George Kittle, he's one of the best.
Yeah.
These guys can't watch every single game when they're playing during the day. They're not going to be watching, and especially if they have, the 1:00 game and they have a team meeting, blah, 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 whatever after the game. They probably only hit the nighttime games, the primetime games in their own game.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Just because top 80 players in the NFL, that's a pretty short list. So I think it's right where he is right now.
He's one above of Kirk Cousins.
Well, I mean, I can't speak to the other players, but I think he deserves his flowers to be in the top 100. Now, like we said, it's all semantics and a popularity vote between the rest. So honestly, at the end of the day, I'm okay with it. With him okay at least making the top 100, so that's cool with me.
Next up, we have Jared. We got Jared Goff 48. We got Hutch at 47. A little low for Hutch, in my opinion. I think Goff's at the right spot, but I don't know.
Goff feels right. 48. I mean, I would say he's a top. He's 7th, 8th, 9th quarterback, depending on. I'm sure some fan bases or people have him lower, but that's what I'd say he's at. I'd say quarterback is by far the most important position still. Because you can look at the Jets last year and that amazing defense they had. But, with the Mormon MILF chaser, they were awful. So I do think Goff is appropriate. Hutch, you're right. He should be higher.
Yeah. My biggest complaint about the QB, where the QBs fall on this is, and I don't know if he falls at like 7th or 8th, maybe even 9th as far as QBs, but putting Jordan Love at 34.
Yeesh.
34.
I mean, what the
34.
hell? Who are some notable guys below?
That's high. I didn't realize that. I wasn't going to complain about
38.
Jared.
Sauce Gardner's at 38.
Gardner's below him.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Devontae Adams at 40. It's
what?
Yeah.
Oh, Gord.
Yeah.
Jordan Love is at
34.
34. Devontae Adams is 40.
He's above Joe Burrow?
He's above Joe Burrow. I mean, Joe Burrow was hurt.
Who gives a shit, bro? He is clearly. I mean, he is not better than Joe Burrow. What the hell? One of them's been to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Hey, don't get your panties in a bunch, man.
That's nutty. I mean, look, I'm not a Jordan Love hater by any means, but holy cannoli, man.
The craziest thing about this QB, I mean, there's Jordan Love at 34, but Dak Prescott at 16 also has me fucking. Honestly,
I mean, Dak Prescott. I'm gonna just be honest with you. If you look at the stats, he probably should have won MVP. So
regular season in the regular season for sure.
Right, regular season MVP. So
Jamar Chase is below Jordan Love. All right, that is. I mean, this is
voted on by the players.
Yeah, this is by the players.
Who is telling them that he's a lot like Aaron Rodgers? I mean, I feel like I keep hearing that. It's like, I guess so. He takes a step like him,
ESPN,
but it's like, come on, who is in these people's ears?
All these mainstream media, they just hype it up. I mean, he's the highest paid quarterback of all time now, so it's all this media hyping him up and whatnot. That's what it is. So, I mean, hopefully they're wrong. And then we're laughing for the next 6 to 7 years. Like that's a dream scenario.
I don't think Dak has gotten his. Are you talking about Dak?
No, it's about Jordan Love.
Oh, Dak's about to become the highest paid.
We'll see,
but
he probably should. I mean,
he's up, and he'll get Jerry. Jerry Jones is going to toss him the contract.
Yeah, Jerry Jones likes holding that bone though for as long as possible.
He does.
The corpse of Jerry Jones will be throwing out contracts to crappy Cowboys players for the next 50 years. And then then all the way up to 23 Amon-Ra and 22 Penei. So, and that's the rest of the Lions players in the top 100.
Yeah. So my only issue, I mean, those are saying you're in the top 23 is like saying you're in the top 2% of all NFL players, probably.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you consider practice squad players.
Right.
Something
probably
like that.
Close to that. My only issue with Penei Sewell being 22, I mean, I think it's pretty clearly like throw all bias aside, he is the number one offensive lineman in the league. Yeah. And so if you place any offensive lineman ahead of him, then that just purely comes from bias. Like, we'll give the people their flowers. Who's the 49ers guy that's ahead of him?
Trent Williams is at
Trent
7.
Williams, yeah. Right, Trent Williams. And they're giving him his flowers because he's about fucking 42 years old and doing it at this level. And he's the second best offensive lineman in the league. But that just shows the favoritism. I think you just got to clap and be like, all right, you're top 25, you're top 1% of players in the world, so whatever. But that's the only thing.
On a different, let me give you the wide receivers that are ahead of Amon-Ra.
Yep.
And I'll put them in order from top to where Amon-Ra sits, and I'll say their ranking. So the overall ranked number 1 player was Tyreek Hill, notably above Pat Mahomes. CeeDee Lamb was at 13th. Jay Jettas, Justin Jefferson was at 18th. AJ Brown was at 21st, and then Amon-Ra at 23rd. And Mike Evans was at 26th, just behind.
I'm fine with that because you can make an argument for, like, someone could say Mike Evans or Devontae Adams are ahead of Amon-Ra, and then you can make the same argument that Amon-Ra should be ahead of, like, AJ Brown.
Yeah, I think that's the only one I've got a lot of trouble with is AJ Brown. Yeah. I think that Amon-Ra is more dynamic. I think he's going to have a better season this year. But I mean, CD exploded last year. Tyreek obviously is Tyreek, and Justin Jefferson's.
Yeah,
I'd rather have. Oh, go ahead.
No, then I was just gonna just say just to reemphasize my point is, like, the thing is, like, it's kind of semantics because if you ask anybody who's not a Lions fan, would they rather have Mike Evans? Not anybody, but if you ask, like, a lot of people, would they have Mike Evans or Amon-Ra? I think a 50-50 of, like, people on the U.S. would, 50-50 that pick either player. So we're all biased in saying Amon-Ra. But, hey, you asked me if I'm taking Devontae Adams or Amon-Ra? Buddy, give me Adams.
Wow, really?
What?
Oh, yeah. Last year it wasn't his fault.
That's wild.
He literally was going to request a trade from the Raiders midseason because Garoppolo was so bad. And then he had a rookie quarterback who came in and did decent because he had 2 really good receivers, decent core around him.
It was also Josh McDaniels.
Right, so, like, I'm just chucking that up to Devontae Adams' head. The worst thing happened to him.
Devontae Adams is how old? He's got to be 30?
30.
I think that's a very hot take. I would take Amon-Ra. Muscle hamster.
He doesn't take big hits. I mean, the only time he did was, again, with the Raiders from Garoppolo, and that week he took the biggest hit of his career. He was debating requesting a trade unless they'd made changes. So, I agree with you. Semantics.
I don't know. I mean, guys, come on.
I think the receivers are fine. I would take Amon-Ra over Devontae and Mike Evans, but I know that there's certain people that wouldn't. I'm fine with AJ Brown I think, obviously, homer take, I think I like him and I'd rather have him on my team than AJ Brown, but AJ Brown's a beast. Like, if anything, he might be slightly underrated by the national media. He's a stud, or just the national fan base, I think.
I agree.
He's a stud. And
I think AJ Brown's one of the best wide receivers in the league. I mean, he's known as that kind of, but I think he's higher on that list than people give him credit.
I low-key think he could be even higher. But I also think, again, my issue with Panay isn't that I mind that he's at 22, because whatever. I mean, the stats would show he should probably be higher than that. But if Trent Williams is at 7, even if you think he's the better tackle, which is whatever, that's not an argument I'm going to get upset about. I don't see the gap. But honestly, that's just quibbling. I think those 2 guys are totally fine. I think Hutch and Goff is fine. Like, I don't really care about any of the players that made the list. I don't have any problems with. It's really more Ragnow not making the list. That's it.
I mean, at the end of this year, all I'm going to say is that Jameson Williams will be in the top 100. If he's not, the players are bums and they don't know how to vote. So 2025, stamp it. Jameson Williams is in there. On another vein, Jim, do you have anything from social media? Any freaks out there? Anything from Reddit you got for us?
No Reddit this week, but I do have some social media freaks. So, as you know, the Lions and Giants had their joint practices today. There's been a lot of posts from both teams about it, and I gotta say, I don't know. I didn't check the Giants posts because I'm not a Giants fan. I checked the Lions posts. There's a lot of weird people who are Giants fans commenting on Lions posts. Some of it just blatantly wrong, and I think some of this might be trolls or literal, like, bots, but I don't get who would be paying for a bot to go onto a Lions page and comment. But there was all sorts of stuff about how the Giants are going to have a better season than the Lions. Like, good luck going back to 0-16. I think I saw there's a video of, like, all the players sticking up for Amon-Ra St. Brown, and after he had that scuffle, which is fine. And some Giants fan commented, not one person out there sticking up for Amon-Ra in that fight. Laughing face emoji, laughing face emoji, laughing face emoji.
JMO's right there.
Literally right there. So I got to say, it's refreshing to see that that idiot NFL fans are back. Love that part of the year. It's almost my favorite part of the year. I get riled up every weekend seeing the comments. I have to delete the comment I just made about once a week. So just want everybody to be happy that getting in arguments in the comment section for football is back.
Football season is back, baby.
Oh yeah. And if it's anything like last year, can't wait to argue with people in the comment section again.
This is the Lions Main Podcast.